guys, it's Reagan, and clearly I'm at a different angle for you today because I am doing the On My Shelf video, which is essentially where you get a whole bunch of numbers, you say those numbers, you find the coordinating book on your bookshelf to those numbers, and then you talk about it. So the first set of numbers I'm going to pick is 3 and 15. And the book on my bookshelf that corresponds with that is Persuasion by Jane Austen, and this is in the beautiful vintage classics edition. So this is the vintage classic edition of the Jane Austen books, and I have 4 books in this edition because they're freaking beautiful. I actually haven't read this novel by Jane Austen. I've read 2 of her books. Persuasion is the next one I really want to read, as I've heard really great things about the book and that BBC movie, which are always winners. The next set of numbers is going to be 7 and 5. That book on my shelf is The Well of Ascension by Mr. Brandon Sanderson, one of my favorite books ever. This is the second book to the Mistborn trilogy, as many of you know, is my favorite fantasy book trilogy. It is freaking fantastic and amazing, and if you haven't read it, please pick it up. It's so good. I will also link in the description bar the UK box set of this because I get a lot of questions about that, so I'll have that linked for you. But yes, this is a fantastic fantasy trilogy following a group of ragtag individuals trying to overthrow the Dark Lord, which have taken over their world, and the magic system is the most interesting part of this fantasy novel because it involves consuming metals, and that's what gives them their power. It's so good. We're going to do 14 and 14. Ugh. The book on my shelf that corresponds with this is The Ask and the Answer by Patrick Ness. This is the second time in this video where I pulled the second book to one of my favorite trilogies of all time. If you didn't know, the Chaos Walking trilogy by Patrick Ness is amazing. It's about a young boy who lives on a planet where there are no women and everybody can hear everybody else's thoughts, and one day our main character stumbles upon complete silence, and it kind of takes off from there. This is by far one of my favorite young adult trilogies. I feel like it has so much depth and amazing. It is actually one of the first things I ever read for BookTube, so it also has a lot of sentimentality attached to it. I'm gonna do 5 and 7. 5 and 7, I picked Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. This is one of the first young adult trilogies I actually ever read, and this is one of my favorite of Scott Westerfeld's. I've actually read a lot of Scott Westerfeld. This is a steampunk alternate World War I novel where essentially it's World War I, the Allies against the Axis, but instead of just using guns and mortars and stuff, it's basically, instead of the Allies versus the Axis, it's the Darwinists versus the Clankers. The Darwinists uses fabricated animals inspired by Charles Darwin. They basically use evolutionary genetics to make these massive animals to fight with. And then the Clankers use giant machine things. It always makes me think of like the Wild Wild West with Will Smith. But anyway, and the great thing about this book series, it's really cool, is that there's amazing illustrations in it, like full page. It's really cool. So for a history nerd like me, this was actually a really great trilogy that I enjoyed immensely. I read it middle school, early high school. It's very good. I'd check it out if you haven't. Alright, we'll do a couple more. We're gonna do 13 and 13. I finally picked a book I think I haven't read, which is actually impressive. Anyway, it is A Child of the Hidden Sea by A.M. Delamonica. This was a gift to me for my birthday last year, which is bad because today is my birthday currently. I'm pre-filming this. This was a present to me from Liz, and I should have already read it. But this is a really cool book. It's about a woman who lives in like modern day San Francisco, and she somehow gets transported to an alternate world where she has to live and work on a pirate ship. Pirates is pretty much the only thing I needed to know about this to buy it, because pirates. And the last one we are going to do is 1710, because who doesn't love the year 1710, am I right, guys? And I picked a book that's really random that I haven't read yet, and I actually haven't heard anyone else talk about really, and it is Jasper Kents' 12, and this is a fantasy novel set in Russia in 1812. Basically, Russia hires 12 mercenaries, and there has a lot to do with magic and stuff. It basically, the tagline is, "It began as a last stand against Napoleon's invading army. It would end as a fight against an enemy of mankind itself." I was basically just like, wow, a Russian historical fiction fantasy novel, I'm gonna buy it. I haven't read it, but boy am I intrigued. If anyone out there has read or heard things about this, please let me know, because I haven't seen any reviews and I'm curious, okay? Alrighty guys, that is the on my shelf tag, I guess. And anyway, let me know down below something about yourself, fun fact, and I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!